College is a very interesting place with interesting things happening, and always we get to learn new things. We experience a new life when we are in college. Now, this is Book Talk. I'm your host, Anthony Moirori. At Book Talk, we get to have authors come and tell us stories about their books, about their writing, and always it's been a great time. Today, we have a special guest who is known as Kristine Sposato, and she is going to be talking to us about her book, Student Voices Silence. Stay tuned as we go together to meet her. Before we go, I'd like to remind you to please share with all your friends this video, the audio, whatever it is that you're listening or watching us from, please share. If you have a question, ask. If you make a comment, we love a feedback. We'll appreciate it. And now, without taking one more minute, I'm going to invite you to come and join me as we go together to meet our guest today, Kristine. Here we go. Hello, Kristine.
Hi, Anthony.
Welcome to Book Talk.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, and we are honored to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes, let's get started by knowing where in the world you are at.
I am in Western Colorado near the
Okay.
Utah border. So I live way out in the country, it's very rural out here. It's beautiful, it's quiet. Um, it's close to the Grand Mesa and we have mountain ranges around, so it's really beautiful. I love it here.
Wonderful, beautiful. And what is it that you do for a living?
This is it. um, I was in higher education for 20 years. I worked at a private college and then at a public university and retired and moved out here to Western Colorado. And
Mhm.
then I started my coaching and training business. So I have a coaching and training business that I can do corporate training and private coaching, but about a year ago, I really shifted my focus and developed a program that's exclusively for conservative students and parents, and it's called Rise Student Coaching. So that and my book, and that's it. I eat, sleep, and breathe this now. It's everything I do.
That's good. It's good to know that. Now, I'm curious to know, as always, when I meet with a new author, uh, to know whether you were born writing or did the writing come to you as an accident or what is it with you?
I've been writing. uh, It's writing. It's been my whole life.
Mm,
I have older siblings, and my sisters were teenagers when I was little. And so they thought it was fun to teach me how to write. So
okay.
I could actually read and write at a pretty young age. I'm grateful to them for that. But this has been a goal of mine my whole life. I've been writing forever. And as life happens, it's ebbed and flowed. There have been times I've been more focused on it than other times, but finally, here I am. I have a real book and I'm a real author, and I am thrilled.
So this is your first book.
This is my first book. Yes.
Wow, congratulations. And I'm
Thank
excited.
you.
If the listener is not aware that this book just released, we're going to be talking about it shortly. And this book hit the market with a bang. Please tell us about that.
It did. The book was just released last week, and over the weekend, it hit Amazon #1 bestseller. So I'm thrilled. I am watching the rankings every day and watching it. And so, the Kindle ranking and the paper copy is ranked differently, but I'm doing really well in both of them. And so I can at least, attest to people that this book is valuable to readers. And that's, we really haven't launched a lot of marketing yet. And so this is really just grassroots, kind of organic. People are finding it and reading it and telling their friends about it. And it's just been a week. So I'm very grateful to all those readers. Please keep telling your friends and family about it. That's great. But
Wow.
I think it really resonates with readers that this is something that's real, it's true stories, and it's very engaging.
Wow, that's very cool. We are delighted for you, and we are
Thank you.
glad that you're going to go somewhere. And there's someone out there who's wondering, what book are they talking about? Because we haven't mentioned it. Now, this is the book.
This is the book.
This is
This
the
is the
book.
book.
Student Voices Silenced.
Silence.
First-hand accounts of extreme bias every conservative parent needs to know, and how to navigate college successfully.
Hmm. That's right.
What triggered you to write it?
Oh, um, that's a good question. I It started out about a year ago. My husband and I were drinking coffee one morning, and he worked at this university that I worked at, and we both retired and left. And it was really difficult the last few years as the campus became more progressive and more woke. There just weren't safe spaces at all for conservatives, and we left. And one morning we were watching a TV show that was featuring some issue with conservative college students, and I looked at him and I said, we left, but they're still there with no one to advocate for them. And he looked at me and said, well, you're a coach and a trainer, why don't you do something about it? So, I thought a lot about it, did some research, prayed about it, really tried to find some direction. And I started working on my program. Rise Student Coaching is what my program is.
Mm-hmm.
And then along the way, a few months into it, I crossed paths with a publisher. And I was telling her about what I was working on. And she said, you should write a book. So it was Action Takers Publishing. And I said, well, I don't know who exactly is going to publish my book. This isn't a very popular topic at this time. And so it's, more difficult because of the culture and the progressive focus that there is right now in the world. How do you get a conservative book published? And she said, I'll publish it. So I was off and running and been working on the book for about 9 months. And here it is. It just unfolded for me. It started out, um, I started out with the intention of wanting to inform the public how bad it is on campus. And, I was filling it up with a lot of statistics and a lot of hard facts. And coming from higher education, that really is the backbone of just about any work you do, or any writing or anything. You are telling the facts. You don't just tell stories in higher education. And I started out that way. And partway through it, I just wasn't feeling like the focus was right. And so I kind of stepped aside and thought about it for a minute. And really what was in my heart was to reach parents, not just the general public,
Mm-hmm.
um, to reach parents and to touch them and to help them understand what their student is experiencing on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So I shifted my focus and started interviewing parents, faculty, staff, and students to get their firsthand stories of what they've experienced. And so that's really the bulk of the book, is firsthand experiences of conservatives on campus. So parents could really see firsthand, behind the scenes, what is going on and what's happening with their students.
That's good. Now, as much as a term may be simple, there's always that one person who may be wondering who is a conservative student. And we'll be glad for you to tell us in a layman's language.
That's a really good question, Anthony. And I get asked that a lot because right now in our culture, everything is so divided, and we have fallen into a habit of just labeling people and then making a lot of assumptions about what happens underneath that label, who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I I see students that are what I'm calling conservative are really a lot of traditional students.
Mm-hmm.
And that really means that they aren't, their values and their traditions and their beliefs aren't at the front end of this woke wave that's happening,
Mm-hmm.
of the very extreme progressive culture that's taking over.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, there's a wide range of students that fall within this, and it doesn't mean that conservative necessarily means like a Republican. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a conservative, like Christian or religious. There's so many names and titles. It doesn't mean they're racist. It doesn't mean that they're sexist, homophobic. All of the lists that people assume fall underneath that isn't what they are. These are
Mm-hmm.
just students that are coming to college and really are bringing with them the values and beliefs that they left home with. And they aren't at the front end of the progressive movement.
Okay, now we get that. And I'm sure someone there who was wondering has now a clear picture of what a conservative student is.
That's great.
And you mentioned that you have some first-hand accounts of conservative students' experience on colleges. So there are stories you tell, and then you navigate us through on how that comes out as the result we may desire, or in a way that the parent is going to learn something from it. Okay.
Sure. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Um, Anthony, when I started doing this, I really thought that because I had been on campus, I
Mm-hmm.
really thought I had heard everything, seen everything. I didn't think anything would surprise me.
Mm.
And when I started doing these interviews, there wasn't a time that, I hung up or got off my Zoom call and didn't just sit back stunned and just thought,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my gosh, I am surprised again. I am surprised again." Um, I heard stories of students that there was a a young man who was actually working campaigning for Donald Trump, and so he was active on campus,
Mm-hmm.
and which, from higher education's point of view, that's a really positive thing. They want to nurture students to be active in their community. They want to nurture them to be people that are going to leave college and become citizens that can shape the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing in the eyes of the institution,
Sure.
except if you're conservative,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this student was tabling, which means they put tables out in public spaces, hand out literature, answer questions, just engage with other students. And this student was threatened in public that if he and his peers didn't go away and didn't stop talking about, putting up their signs and for Trump, that they were going to come back and find them and beat them. Like,
Mm.
it was a physical threat.
Mhm.
So this group of students went to their administration and reported it, which is exactly what they should do.
Mhm.
That's the way the system is set up. Students are encouraged to report any kind of threat or bullying.
Mhm.
It's a high priority for campuses to keep their students stay safe. Nothing happened.
Mm.
Nothing happened.
Mhm.
They didn't pursue, the administration did not pursue it. They did not even call in the students that had done the threatening. And the group of the conservative students then started even walking home together after class because they didn't even dare go home alone.
Mm.
Um, Almost 40% of students of Republicans on campus, so that could be faculty, staff, students, say that they feel unsafe on campus.
Mm.
55% of students
50.
won't even tell anyone what their beliefs are if they're conservative.
Mhm.
Even their good friends, they withhold it because they don't dare tell anybody what their real beliefs and values are.
Wow. Oh,
It's
it's
bad.
bad.
It's bad.
So,
It's bad.
going back on the process of writing the book, you talked to individuals and you interviewed them, just as you expressed of yourself talking on Zoom and gathering some sources. Now, I'm wondering, in your book, do we have those conversations, or do you just tell it just the way that you got it? As how? Tell us.
Um, I ended up, well, every single person that I
Hmm.
interviewed asked for anonymity.
Okay.
And I had many, many people that at the last minute backed out because they were so fearful that they would be outed and that people would figure out who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so fearful of retaliation by the college or the university that a lot of them started out saying, "Oh my gosh, this is what happened to me." And then at the last minute, they wouldn't talk.
Mm.
So people are very, very intimidated by this.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to keep people's anonymity, I changed a lot of circumstances and I actually combined some of the people whose stories were very similar. So I don't have I tried my very best in order to keep people's privacy and their anonymity place as I promised. So yes, I interviewed people. Yes, these are real interviews, but I tried to conceal who they were as best I could.
Okay, it's good. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
For those who may be joining us right now, we're talking about the book Student Voices Silenced, first-hand accounts of extreme bias every conservative parent needs to know, and how to navigate college successfully. Now, you said it, and that's in the subtitle, that you're focusing this to the parents. Uh,
Mhm.
tell me or tell us the actions, or what could be the response of the parents. What do you expect the parents to do after reading this book?
Well, first and foremost, they will know firsthand what's going on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm a student development specialist. So I put in the book a lot of resources, methods, tips, advice of things that parents can implement themselves to
Mm-hmm.
prepare their students for campus, or for like high school seniors that aren't in college yet. That's the best time to start getting them ready to go to campus. And then there's a lot of information about the developmental stages that students go through between high school and when they graduate from college. And it gives really specific tips and advice of ways that you can support your student through those developmental stages in
Mm-hmm.
order for them to graduate and be successful and have a fabulous, wonderful experience in college. This book isn't all grim and dismal, and it's not about kids are going to just really struggle and have a horrible time.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of resources and ideas and ways for parents to support their students and prepare them for what's going to happen on campus. I think that knowledge is the most important thing, so students and parents know what's going to happen and they're ready for it. And then the things that parents can do that are very actionable, very easy. They're very practical tips. And if you go to my website, you can download the first chapter of the book and read that for yourself. But of course, you're going to want to read the rest of it after you read the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I have another resource, which is, 5 easy tips and things that parents can do to prepare their students for campus. Um, if you want to hire someone, you can contact me and I'll tell you about my Rise student coaching program. And a personal coach is perfect for this exact situation. A lot of parents that I talked to that their students were struggling were sending their children to psychologists,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a bad thing if there are mental health issues. But a lot of these issues are things that can be better addressed through coaching and strategies and skill building that I work on with students one-on-one and also in groups that doesn't necessarily take them down the psychology route, but it goes more directly to what is actually happening to them on campus and developing skills such as, communication skills, self advocacy. So they're able to walk into a professor's office confidently and ask for help or ask for what they need. It helps them learn how to identify their own values and their own beliefs. And, it's normal and natural during this stage of life to go through a lot of questioning. Early adulthood is really, that's so normal. You should be taking in other ideas and putting that through your filter and figuring out, do I believe this or do I not?
Mm-hmm.
And part of my program is helping them figure out what are their non-negotiables, what are their bottom line values that they don't want to adapt or change, and then what are the things that will help them grow and change and become better adults in the world. So there's a lot that goes into the coaching program, but there are definitely methods and resources and tips for parents all through the book.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yes, and once again, we remind you the website is www.kristinesposato.com.
Yes.
Yes, it's actually in the description of this video or the audio that you could be listening to. So head over there and get to learn about the program and also
Yeah.
about the book.
And if you want to reach me, I have a connect with me on my website. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have questions or you want to chat or there's something going on with your child and you'd love to just check in with me, I'm happy to connect with you. So go to my website, connect with me, and we'll chat.
Okay, thank you very much for that invite. Now, I'm wondering, could you be having a copy close to you? Sometimes I like hearing the author read me something. If you have it, if you don't, then we because
Okay,
it's
Anthony.
just been released, so maybe it's in the mail coming. But if it's close,
All right, Anthony, remember when I said I live in rural Colorado?
yeah.
It is so rural that I haven't even gotten my books
Yeah,
yet.
no, this happened with new releases. That's what I say. Maybe you have it, maybe you don't.
I don't have my author's copies yet.
Okay. So
My
and
publisher, Linda at Action Takers Publishing, she got hers lickety split and already looked it over, and mine is still slowly.
yeah,
I don't know. I think somebody's pedaling a bike with my books on
no,
it or
it's
something.
good. It's good that you published with action takers. You didn't publish with the procrastinators.
No, I did not. Or I'd still be writing.
Yeah, it will be there. It will be there. We get to read it ourselves. But before we get to read it, I was looking at these chapters, and you talk about this system. The system. Tell us
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Maybe it's
throughout,
something that you've already covered, but you can let us know or look at it
yeah,
from a different perspective.
uh, it the culture shift starts at the very top.
Mm,
It's institutionally
mm,
ingrained with policies and procedures and expectations of everyone on campus. So
mm,
it starts at the top, comes down. And in the book, I talk about institutional bias, academic bias, peer bias. So I break it down by levels because
mm,
it does start at the top. For an example of institutional bias, the University of Colorado in Boulder recently instituted a new policy that enforces and requires anyone on campus, to not assume anyone's gender ever.
mm,
They must always ask someone's gender pronouns before they address them.
mm-hmm,
So that is, faculty, staff, students, it's all levels. And that came down from administration. So that's just an example of an systemic or institutional bias that
mm,
is coming down. And for students that, again, have traditional beliefs or conservative beliefs that feel like they should have the right to walk into a room, express, just this is who I am. And it's okay to go ahead and assume that I'm a woman because I look like one. You don't
mm,
have to ask my pronoun. I don't want to talk to you about my pronoun. I
yeah.
just, call me she, her, hers. That's okay. I'm a girl. But the institution is implementing these policies now. So students don't even have a right to just have their own gender and not have to. So that's just one example that recently happened. And that makes a lot of students really uncomfortable.
Mm,
Why do I have to talk about this? If you are expressing a different gender than what I'm seeing or perceiving, that's fine. But I shouldn't have to conform to your standards because I'm just normal. I'm just a person and here I am.
wow, wow. Now you hear that, you had that, everyone. I mean, the bias that is existing, and it comes from the system, from
Yes.
high up there.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
he's a high heel to walk, to climb, to get up there. I mean, the things that we're gonna be tackling in the near future,
I know.
it's only, it's only, I think, a tip of the iceberg. This is what I'm imagining, because every single day we are going to wake up into a new bias in the
Right.
campuses. And it's good that you highlight these issues, so can we can try to see how to go about them.
And I want to be really clear that um, Me personally, and my program, Rise Student Coaching,
Mm-hmm.
we accept everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We want to learn about everyone. We aren't, that's one of the things that a big stereotype is. If you say you're conservative or traditional, well, then you must be racist, you must be homophobic, you must be transphobic. None of those things are accurate or true. My program, the Rise Student Coaching Program, we talk about cultural differences and we learn about how to navigate between cultures and respect different cultures. Um, there's a module on equity, inclusion, all the things that the universities are intending to teach kids or to help students learn about is included in the program because it's a good thing. It's a good thing to learn and grow. It's a good thing for us to examine our biases. We all have them. We all have them. It's part of human nature. It's the way our brains work. And so we have to intentionally unwind that to find out what's in there and why. We need to look at it. But the way that they're doing it on the university level is really backing students into a corner, which causes them to become defensive, and then they shut down, and then they stop thinking about it. So instead of, for example, telling white male students that they're bad and that they have all this privilege and they shouldn't be successful in the world because they've stolen success from other people, that causes them to do this. But instead, an approach that I take helps them nurture and explore those questions because some of it is valid. It
Mm-hmm.
is valid for white people to stop and really consider what privileges we have had.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. That's really real. It's nothing. But the approach that they're taking that's just very adversarial and almost like militant, it does the opposite. And so students aren't able to develop the trust and have the personal space to really do that deep exploring that is a good thing in the world. It would make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, things are changing. Yes, there's a lot of stuff thrown out there. And my goal is to help students be better people,
Mm-hmm.
not be more biased or not be more bigot or not be more angry, but to have a safe space where they can really understand who they are and who they are in the bigger world and appreciate everybody.
Thank you very much for that. The last chapter of the book is where to begin. Where
Yeah.
where do we begin?
Yes. Um, we begin by coming out of our shells and talking about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
For students, it's students tend to isolate. Uh, in this kind of environment, they close up personally. They stop talking about who they are. They stop talking about things and they hide. They isolate. They tend to become depressed. They withdraw. I've had students that have literally dropped out of school. They've left college
Mm-hmm.
because this is so overwhelming for them and they just don't feel like this is where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing to do, where do we start, is to find like communities. Find communities for your students where they feel safe, where other people that they can talk to and that they can relate to. And then help them become activists. And not every student is going to be out tabling in the lawn in front of the library. That isn't every student's personality or their calling. But to come out of their shell enough to be able to sit at a table in the dining hall and say to the other kids that live on their hall that they're having dinner with, you know, I disagree with that. My values dictate that. Here's what I believe, and help them to just have a voice again and be able to speak out again, and to speak respectfully, to speak honestly, and to own who they are, and to be out in the community in a really positive way. You know, volunteering, doing all the wonderful things that we want our college students to begin to do. So they'll carry that out into the world with them when they graduate. But what's happening now is a lot of students are just becoming quiet and depressed, and they're not able to get out there and develop these other skills that they need.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kristine. To the viewer, to the listener, with those ideas of where to begin, we've come to the end of this show so that we can give you the opportunity to go and begin. Now, we've been talking about the book, Student Voices Silenced. Go get it and begin the action. Be an action taker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's about
Anthony.
it. That's about it for today's episode. This has been Book Talk. I have been your host, Anthony Moirore. And together with our guest today, Kristine Sposato. It's a hard name for me. Where is it
It's a
from?
hard name for me too.
Where is it from?
My husband's Italian.
Okay, Sposato. Can I say
Yes.
that? Sposato.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So with Kristine Sposato, who has been our guest, me and her, we are saying, yeah, she gave me the permission to call her her. So me and her, we
Thanks,
are
Anthony.
saying bye for now. Go begin. Go do
All
it.
right.
Just take an action. Bye for
Thank
now.
you, Anthony.
Bye. Until next time.